Oh, let him have it, I told my parents as they gave my brother control of the cafe had built from scratch. Since he's the man of the family, he must know better, I added. My brother smiled as he took my keys. 6 months later, they called me in tears. The business was bankrupt. What they didn't know was that I had been planning this moment. I was elbow deep in bread dough when my mother walked into the kitchen, her face wearing that expression I'd grown to dread. The one that meant she and Dad had been discussing my future again. "Anna," she started, wringing her hands in her apron. "Your father and I have been thinking." I kept kneading, letting the familiar motion ground me. The morning sunlight streamed through the cafe's windows, catching on the copper fixtures I'd carefully chosen when I renovated this place. Every detail of Sweet Dreams Bakery and Cafe had my fingerprints on it. From the vintage-inspired wallpaper to the carefully curated menu of artisanal breads and pastries. "Let me guess," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's about James taking over." She brightened, seemingly relieved that she wouldn't have to break the news herself. "Yes. You know how he's been struggling since losing his job at the investment firm. Your father thinks this would be perfect for him. He has an MBA, after all." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Mom, James doesn't know the first thing about running a bakery. He's never worked in food service. He doesn't even cook his own meals. But he understands business," she pressed on. "Numbers, management, all those things you struggle with." I finally stopped kneading, turning to face her fully. "Struggle with? Mom, I've turned a profit every month since we opened. I paid back the startup loan in half the expected time. The cafe has a waiting list for specialty orders." But I could see my words weren't registering. In my parents' eyes, I would always be the impulsive daughter who dropped out of business school to attend culinary arts programs. Meanwhile, James would always be the golden child, even after getting fired for risky trading decisions that cost his firm millions. "Your father's already discussed it with James," she continued, as if I hadn't spoken. "He's very excited about the opportunity. Think about it, Anna, you could focus on what you love, the baking, and let James handle the business side." I wiped my hands on my apron, leaving flowery handprints. "This is my business, Mom. I built it from nothing. Dad may have co-signed the initial loan, but I'm the one who turned this old building into something special." She touched my arm, her expression patronizing. "Honey, we just want what's best for everyone. James needs this, he has a family to support. And I don't matter," I asked quietly. "My dreams don't count because I'm single? Because I'm a woman?" "Don't be dramatic," she said. "Your father's already drawn up the papers. James will be taking over as managing director starting next month." The world tilted sideways for a moment. "Dad can't do that," I said, but even as the words left my mouth, I remembered the fine print on the loan documents. My father's co-signature had come with conditions I foolishly agreed to, because I never thought he'd actually use them against me. That evening my father and James came to the cafe after closing. I sat across from them in one of the booths I'd personally re-upholstered, listening as they outlined their plans for my dream. "We streamline operations." James scrolled through something on his tablet. "Cut the specialty items, focus on mass market appeal. No more of this artisanal nonsense." "That artisanal nonsense is what built our customer base," I pointed out. James rolled his eyes. "The customers will adjust. We need to think bigger, Anna. Chain potential, franchising opportunities, not this small-time stuff you've been doing." My father nodded approvingly. "James has some excellent ideas for modernization. It's time this place grew up and became a real business." I looked around my cafe, the hand-painted signs, the wall of customer photos, the display case full of carefully crafted pastries. Everything that made it special. Everything that made it mine. And now it was about to be dismantled by my brother's corporate vision. "And if I refuse?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Dad's expression hardened. "Then I'll call in the loan. You can't afford to buy me out, and you know it." He was right. I had put every penny of profit back into the business, improving equipment, training staff, building something sustainable. I didn't have the cash reserves to buy out his stake. James leaned back, a familiar smirk playing on his lips. "Don't be difficult, Anna, this is for the best. You can keep baking your little treats. Leave the real business to someone who understands it." I stood up slowly, reached into my pocket, and pulled out my keys. The keychain was a small copper whisk, a gift from my first employee on opening day. I set them on the table with a soft clink. "Go ahead," I said, my voice surprisingly calm. "Take it. Since you're the man of the family, you must know better than me." James snatched up the keys immediately. Dad started saying something about how I was being sensible, but I was already walking away. I pushed through the kitchen doors one last time, running my hand along the industrial mixer I had saved 3 months to buy. Then I grabbed my bag from the office and left through the back door. They didn't know about the photos I'd been taking, documenting every detail of the cafe's operations. They didn't know about the copies I'd made of all our recipes, supplier contracts, and customer records. And they definitely didn't know about the new business plan I'd been quietly developing, ever since James first started hinting about helping with the cafe. I'd learned one thing from growing up with James: when he wanted something, he usually got it. And then he usually destroyed it. So I prepared for this moment, gathering everything I'd need to start over, when the inevitable happened. As I drove home that night, I didn't cry. Instead, I started counting the days, until James would prove exactly why this had been a terrible idea. I didn't have to wait long. The changes started immediately. James wasted no time implementing his vision for Sweet Dreams. First, he fired Maria, my head pastry chef, who had been with me since opening day. Too expensive, he said. Then, he replaced our carefully sourced ingredients with cheaper alternatives, and cut our signature items in favor of mass-produced pastries from a commercial supplier. I watched it all from a distance, getting updates from Lucy, one of the baristas who still texted me regularly. The artisan bread program I built, replaced with par-baked frozen loaves. The vintage decor, stripped away for generic modern fixtures. The loyal customers who had supported us from the beginning. They stopped coming as the quality plummeted and prices rose. He's installed TV screens everywhere, Lucy texted me one day. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.